It's Kasim with the Daily Google News, and I'm so excited today because I'm going to talk to somebody who's quite a bit smarter than I am, which isn't unusual, but it's on a topic that scares me. Alisha, help me with your last name, Conlin-Hurd.
Conlin-Hurd, correct.
It's prettier when you say it.
Yeah.
And you're probably one of the smartest funnel people I've ever spoken to.
Really? Do you speak to a lot though?
Well, the problem is I do. I mean, perpetual traffic, as you can imagine, and then TNC, digital marketer. The issue though is I fight with most of them. Like I'm on the evil end of the spectrum, I guess, from y'all's perspective. I think I'm the good guy. But funnels have always scared me, sometimes repelled me, and generally eluded me. So I think what hopefully this is it ends up being kind of a meeting of the minds, because I'm starting to be brought around to the need for the funnel perspective, if not the funnel, the tactical implementation. Does this feel negative now? Have I started the conversation off on the wrong foot?
Man, I love it. This is like my day-to-day life is educating on the funnel. So you tell me what you think and let's discuss it.
All right. So first thing I'm going to do is lob my original funnel objection at you, which is, and when I say funnel, I'm using that, it's synonymous in my mind as the squeeze page. So long form squeeze page, can't go anywhere, no navigation, you can do one thing, consistent call to action. And where I feel like that worked really well at the advent of, the direct response digital marketing, we moved into an ecosystem to where it took multiple pages, multiple touches, multiple clicks, for anybody to make a decision, A, and then B, they want to know more. They want to know more. Your About Us is your second most traffic page. They want to know mission, vision, values. They want to be able to engage. And so what I started to see was somebody lands on your funnel and they'll like kill the little gobbledygook in the URL and go back to your homepage, or kill the subdomain and go back to the main page. And I just saw a lot of atrophy. Now, admittedly, I'm Google Ads. I think in the world of Facebook and maybe even TikTok or whatever, the kind of interrupter marketing, I think that there's still a place for the squeeze page, but I don't think that it deserves the ubiquity that it's been given. So I'm going to pause there. How was that as far as stating a case?
Okay, that was interesting. I'll take the talking stick and let me rebuttal. Basically, this is the paradigm shift that a lot of people need to have here. A funnel isn't optional. If you have a business, you have a funnel. I often think of that like infomercial where it's like, if you've got a door, you've got a gym. Like, it ain't optional, you just got it. So a funnel is just the steps that somebody takes with your business. It's not optional, it happens, yeah? And the true winners in business are the ones that are controlling and optimizing the narrative to persuade at max, yeah, at scale. So what happens is with like a traditional funnel is that it's typically targeted traffic sent through a logical sequence of steps, and you choose those steps. The issue that we find with most funnels, so that's level number one, is you have to understand you have a funnel. It's just the interaction somebody has to make a decision, yeah? The next level of that is you create a targeted funnel, and then it's these logical steps. The issue with a lot of these traditional funnels is that people aren't logical. It's like, okay, so what I'm going to do is someone's going to do this, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this. But because people are batshit insane, they never do what you want them to do. So what they do, and it's called the messy middle. Google has this awesome article called the messy middle, and it's everything that happens outside of your funnel that you want them to do. And you often can only control so much of that. So that's why we called, for example, our brand Persuasion Experience and not Funnel Bro Master Dudes, because it's more of a persuasion experience, not just a funnel.
Performance Bro, what was it?
No, I don't know, like Funnel Bro Dudes, awesome funnels.
That would be an amazing brand. I would be 100%.
Yeah, the domain was taken. That was our first option. Second was Persuasion Experience. But yeah, that's basically like, in terms of like that thinking, a lot of people think, or they will ask me like, oh, why do I need a funnel? I'm like, bro, you got a funnel. It's about whether you want to make the best use out of it, yeah? Because in your funnel, you have all of these little touch points, all of these little things, and each one can be a leak, yeah? And then little leaks sink big ships. So if you don't patch up these leaks and control this experience, every touch point, I'll give you an example. When we work with, and it's not just like your squeeze page, your landing page, whatever, like your funnel, the biggest misconception is that your funnel ends after acquisition. Boom, got my lead. I'm done now. Thanks for that. But no, that's when the business really starts. So you get the acquisition and there's all of this traditional funnel stuff, hand over to sales. Now what? And so what we see with a lot of companies we work with is that they don't have canned responses for sales team. They're just letting the sales team write whatever they want depending on how they feel in the day. So they're not controlling and optimizing that touch point. On their thank you page after the lead books in, they're not persuading and educating to create a more highly qualified lead before it goes to the sales page. They're wasting a thank you page by saying thank you. Instead, they should be saying congratulations, future pacing the transformation, showing some like testimonials or something, and getting them to take a second step. So there's all of this wasted opportunities that people have in their online experience or their persuasion experience because they think a funnel is optional. End rebuttal. Talking stick back to you. What do you think?
So you just won the argument with the mic drop moment that I think is really brilliant. It's you have a funnel regardless of whether or not you want to acknowledge it. The funnel is the natural sequence through which a human goes in making a purchasing decision.
Exactly.
Which is something that it's a narrative I've championed, but I've always connected the squeeze page to the funnel in such a way that I just bash it without thinking through that concept. So I think that was really well said. You also dropped it. I love the golden nugget, little leaks sink big ships. That's brilliant because that's exactly what we see in the world of paid traffic. I have so many people that come to us and they'll say things like, oh, I tried Google ads and it failed. And I'm like, did it? You told Google, I want my ad to show up when somebody searches for this. And it did.
Yep.
End success story there, right? Like from that point, now it's your leaky funnel that's diluting. You said something else that I freaking loved. What was it? You have a funnel no matter what. Little leaks sink big ships. And there was one more soundbite right at the very end. Help me, Alisha.
Oh, I don't know. I say things and then I forget what I say. So luckily this is recorded. But to add to what you're saying, and I work with a lot of media buyers, and they're very caught up. A lot. I work with some of the best media buyers I would consider in the world. We haven't worked together yet, so hopefully I can add you to that list of awesome media buyers.
You haven't worked with the best media buyers. Some of the second, third, and fourth, Yeah,
I've worked with some of
let's give him a
the runners up.
You were referred to us by Michael Nadalin.
Yeah. So Michael and I are BFFs from way back in our agency days at King Kong, and we've worked on hundreds of campaigns together and still work on clients in our current business. But with these media buyers, it's like it's similar to like, when businesses think they get the acquisition and their job is done. A lot of media buyers like, I got the traffic, my job is done, catch ya. But your traffic is worthless if it doesn't convert. It's just worthless. I don't want it. And if it does convert, but it brings me crappy leads or like crappy sales, I also don't want it. So there is this thing where I think there's another paradigm shift where a lot of people that do traffic are like, my job here is done. But no, like you actually need to understand the conversion principles. Otherwise, how can you be valuable to your client or to your business if you don't understand the psychology someone's going to go through after that click, the post-click experience, to actually turn that traffic into money? Otherwise, it's pointless.
Yeah, so that was the thing that I forgot when my little brain kerfuffle. I love I used to have this analogy, and you're going to help me clean it up. It's probably not good.
Let's do it.
So this is for my students. I was Digital Marketers Elite traffic coach, and one of the things I would say is think back to when you're a kid in college or a kid in high school, depending on when your dating experience started. The approach is the hardest part. Like it's nerve-wracking and it's embarrassing, and there's you see somebody from across the pub or wherever it is you are. And making the approach is just the worst. Once you've made the approach and you've gotten this person's number, because that was what I'm older than most people listening to, so that's what we did back in the day. Like it wasn't about like handles or profile, like you actually got a phone number.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I know, isn't it strange? Like the whole world has shifted now, but it's the equivalent of going through all of that heartache. Yeah. Making the approach, having your open line, being successful, getting this person's phone number, and then sprinting as hard and fast as you can in the opposite direction. Like once you have the number, the point then is to now you have an articulation of interest. And I love what you're saying about the post-conversion funnel, because it's non-existent for everybody. Like everybody's just like, oh, all right, we did it. It's almost like a gotcha game. It's like, gotcha, and now it's like, all right, we'll be in touch. We'll come back to you when we're ready, You plead.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's just a phenomenal point.
Yeah. And I believe it's Ryan Dice, digital marketer. They talk about this like asking for marriage on the first date. Like
Yeah.
it's creepy. Yeah. If like, hey, nice to meet you. Want to get married? Like, no, like nobody wants that. And to like build on your analogy, it's like, okay, you've got to add all this value. Like you're really trying to wow people in this dating phase, provide value, demonstrate value. Yeah. Especially like if you're like familiar with the game and those sorts of things, like that's what you're trying to do. And then, okay, so let's just say
did you just quote Neil Strauss? That's so funny. Have you read that book?
Yeah, of course. It's all about, it's awesome. If no one's read it, it's awesome for like human psychology. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like know your competitors. I read it back in uni, I think. It's good to know if someone's going to try and neg you in a bar. It's always good to be able to pick up on that sort of stuff. But back to your analogy is that the acquisition, let's just say marriage is the acquisition, or like you've been in a long-term relationship, just like a business, then people stop providing value. And it's like, and I got my goal, cue shit relationship. And it's the same thing. It's like when in a business, just because you get the lead, you need to optimize your sales part of the funnel. Then you close the sale. What happens next? The onboarding. If you don't have an amazing onboarding experience, what happens is often in the courting process with a sales guy or person, they're like, hey, I'm going to give you the moon and the stars and your life is going to be so great. Overpromise to close the sale. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And then these salespeople are put on this pedestal. And what happens is people hand over a bunch of money and there's this post-purchase dissonance, yeah, where they're like, oh no, have I made the right decision? And I'm probably more talking service-based, agency-based, because that's my world. And so if you don't have a stellar onboarding experience, a stellar kickoff call, I call it like, well, when I used to work at King Kong, I would call it the King Kong experience. Like make sure you're putting on a real show and dance and you were energetic and exciting. Like most people aren't going to remember what you say. It's how you make them feel. And it's all of these little touch points that people don't think about, this whole customer journey that actually like builds your business system.
So like, obviously, yes to everything you're saying. It's brilliant. But it just sounds so hard. That sounds like, how am I ever, I've got a business, I have 70 employees, I have 200 clients. My whole day today was just back to back to back to back. When am I ever going to stop and craft this? Like, how do I do this?
Yeah, good question. My approach is that every time I do something, I create a minimum viable process. So I just document it, like I'll loom it, I'll write down the steps, and then I'll hand it over to one of our employees who will then build on it. And every single time I have a brainwave or they do something good, we just keep building the process. So like I'm a very big fan of systems and processes. Like I'm not smart enough to resolve a problem every single time. Everything we do is like we script it, we canned response it so that every single experience somebody has with us, it is all controlled and optimized so people are having the same awesome experience every single time. So that's how I personally do it is once I do something and I know it's going to have to be repeated, minimum viable process over to the team. Then we have process champions who have to keep updating it. I don't know if that solves your problem, but
it makes sense.
That's how I do it.
You build the bridge as you cross it. And then every time you go back and forth on the bridge, somebody's strengthening it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just out of curiosity, I know this is a nuance, but I tell you, our subscribers would be interested. What's your tech stack look like? Like, where are you keeping this information? Where are you housing your SOPs? Where's your wiki?
Yeah. Good question, because we're pretty new in business here, about 6 months. And I've used a lot of tech stacks in a lot of different companies. Right now, we are Slack and ClickUp. And ClickUp, from what I can perceive of this software, is like trying to replace everything. We just
switched to ClickUp. It's a gift from me.
Yeah.
Like I love it.
Yeah. And we're mainly using that for everything. And then we try to get all of our clients on Slack so we can harass them at will. And email's just annoying.
That's funny. I stay out of people's Slack because I just don't want. It's hard to control. Maybe that's short-sighted of me. I love the process build out, the funnel approach. When you work with a client, where do you start? You start at the top of the funnel? Do you reverse engineer?
Yeah, of course, like in marketing and in business, there's what people want to hear and what they need to hear. So basically, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said traffic people eat first because everybody thinks they have a traffic problem. So we're like these like creepy little people in the shadows, like trying to get like traffic people scraps or something, because most people aren't like, you know what, if I had a really good offer, maybe I would get more leads. Like there's a fair bit of education that needs to be done. And so what we usually do. What was the question? I lost
Where do we
myself
start?
there.
Top of the funnel,
Oh,
bottom
yeah,
of
yeah.
the funnel? Yeah.
Acquisition, always, because that's what people are coming in for. So we often think about the stages of a funnel, like the pirate framework, acquisition. Okay, didn't make this up. Acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, referral. Yeah. And that's how we think about the user journey within a business.
Acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, referral.
Exactly. So
that's the customer value journey over there.
Basically, yeah. And the pirate funnel is very big in SaaS companies. And so we've taken that and a lot of what we know, we kind of just make our own systems a lot. And then we've just mushed that framework, but made it our own. And so most companies, we start with acquisition because there's no point having an awesome referral thing if you're not getting enough leads. So we always start at acquisition. And then typically what will happen, that's like our awareness thing. That's how we pull people in. And then we always give our clients a free 1-hour strategy session. Like we charge a lot, we provide a lot of value, and then we find all the holes in the rest of their funnel, and then they can like work with us to patch up the rest of the funnel, or they can go and do it themselves. Whatever. We just try to give them heaps of value. You
say you charge a lot. If you don't mind me asking, what do you charge?
Yeah, so it varies. We do anything from a single landing page to what we call the 2-step PX, like acquisition funnel, which is like your opt-in or your squeeze page, you might be calling it, to an offer page with some email nurturing. And then we do the big boy fancy funnels, which is a lot bigger and a lot more like a high ticket consulting. So our landing pages are around the 5K mark. Our acquisition funnels, like those smaller funnels, which are kind of like a little toe dip in the water of funnels, start at about 15 or so K. And then our big boy funnels usually are more like 30, 40K plus.
Yeah, it's funny though, because if you're going to drive traffic, I mean, people are spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in traffic, and they're willing to pay for the traffic. But when it comes to paying for anything that will support the traffic, and here's what's funny, is I don't have a dog in this fight, but I'll tell clients like, hey, if you go buy me Northbeam, which is a software, an attribution software, I'm an investor, so I'm dropping their name. But if you go buy me Northbeam, I'll be able to maybe double the efficacy of your ad spend. And it's like $5 a month. And this is a client spending, 6 figures, and they're just like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's unreal what some people are willing to invest in, and then the things that they won't invest in.
100%. And that is the funny thing about often when people come to us, they're warm referrals because we work with media buyers, traffic agencies, and then referrals from existing clients. So they're somewhat familiar and educated. But if I talk to somebody, they, especially e-commerce people, because it's not like directly tied with ROAS right now, right this very second, and it takes a bit of time to build, then they're not interested. It's like they just want to keep pumping traffic. But it just goes back to that point. Like, imagine if you could increase your leads and sales without spending a cent more on traffic. That's what this funnel does. It's an investment, and you will see pretty much immediate results once it's live. But yeah, people, I think because they're familiar with it, less education, they just want traffic and they think that's the answer.
Who's your customer? SaaS, e-com, professional services, agencies? Where do you live?
So predominantly we look after SaaS and lead generation. So anything lead gen, we haven't niched any more than that right now. Maybe one day it will be like only dentists that pull out the right set of teeth. I don't know. Maybe we'll niche more one day in lead gen, but for right now, it's anyone that has a client value in the lead gen space higher than about 5 to 10K and upwards, because then the numbers start to make sense for them. And then SaaS, of course, because they're often going for funding and they need to show good MRR, ARR, pipeline, et cetera, and they need to show scalability and predictability so we can come in and build that marketing machine. And also SaaS founders are usually very technical. And we also, like we say, it's not the technology, it's the psychology. It's like, I don't give a shit about the features that you're building, and neither does your audience. Like, we need to actually get into your positioning and your offer and the problem that your software solves. So they often will come for us with like that positioning and that offer creation, whereas lead gen are like, I need a 1400x my leads, real story, this year. Can you make it happen? I'm like, I can help. Let's try.
I need a 1,400 extra budget.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something about SaaS that maybe I shouldn't, because SaaS is part of we were big footprint in the e-commerce space, big footprint in the SaaS space. Here's what's interesting about the SaaS business model. Private equity firms are destroying it. We had a client that had an amazing business. It was a managed um, I can't give away their identity without giving away what it is. So solid little SaaS business. They were paying $15 CPCs, phenomenal ROI. Overnight, literally, like in 90 days, $15 CPCs go to $100 CPCs. And when we look into why, it's because all these PE firms saw the margin, basically built up a bunch of little, zombie companies that were the exact same thing. And they're willing to spend anything on user acquisition. I had a friend who was in the Salesforce space, and he said that Salesforce looks at a 25-year lifetime value for a customer when it comes to acquisition costs. They're willing to spend enough money on that customer to fulfill a 25-year ROI, which means that there's no way any of us. So the SaaS space scares me a little bit because it feels like a snake eating its own tail, because their valuations are so high and there's so much money there. I've had SaaS founders tell me something similar to what I heard you say, which is, I don't care about CAC. All I care about is customer acquisition. I just need butts and seats. And I hear that, and it just screams bubble to me. I feel like we're closing in on the beginning of a SaaS bubble. I know that's a departure, not necessarily your realm of expertise, but it's something that I've seen, so.
I've got an opinion on everything, so I can add to that. And basically, it's because it's so easy to copy the technology of your SaaS product.
Right.
It's easy. Like, you're not special. As soon as, just because you did it first, that doesn't stop anybody from doing it. And if a competitor,
you paid all the R&D costs,
all the education of the market, and so no one cares. Like, somebody will just come in. That's what you do if you're a smart business person. You see what's already working. You, like, I think Frank Kern says it. You look at the mousetrap, and then you just create a shinier, better mousetrap with a better name and better marketing. That's what you do if you're a smart business owner. So shame on you if you don't do better marketing than somebody else. But that's why when we work with SaaS, this like builds this competitive moat and makes it harder for people to come for you, because your marketing and your brand, not that we necessarily do branding, but that is what builds the competitive moat around these SaaS companies, this funnel, because it's not replicated easy. Your product is replicated easy. Your marketing and your positioning and your offer is not, and like where you stand in the market. So yeah, I totally agree with SaaS, and that's what people need to be doing, but they're so focused on this product and they don't realize. People just think, what's in it for me? What transformation are you going to give me? And they totally skip over that. They don't have a target market avatar. They're not really talking to their customers. And that's the biggest issue we see with our SaaS clients and the issue that we solve.
That's a great answer. Are you open to embarrassing me publicly?
How?
Well, let's do a hot seat. So you tell me everything that's wrong with my funnel.
Okay. Yeah.
But you gotta be brutal, Alisha. Like,
oh my gosh, I don't have a filter. Let's do this.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be nice. You just
no, that's good. That's what I want. So first of all, I'm just weaseling free consultation out of you. But second of all, I want people to see you in action. So here's my website. It's the worst example of story brand ever, because it's all about us. It's not about the client at all. And then what do you want me to do? Walk through my conversion process? Like, where do we go?
Let's start. Is this where you send traffic?
Send traffic straight to the homepage. Straight to the homepage.
So besides your serif font, see, I'll be an asshole here now. Yeah. Okay. What I would very first do when I'm looking at what somebody's doing is the first thing I do is analyze the ad congruency. So it goes beyond this. I would look at the traffic that you're sending and see the messages that land here, and I'd make sure that it's congruent and it's the right temperature of traffic that's landing here. The issue that a lot of people make is that they send all of their traffic to like a homepage. So what I would say, and this is like where all your traffic's coming.
Unless we have a very, like, I have a 3x Shopify offer. So if I'm marketing a very specific offer, then I'll send them to that specific page. But because we're a niche agency and we only do one thing, our homepage speaks to that one thing with relative efficacy.
Awesome. And so the next thing is you've got the best Google Ads agency in the world with the data to prove it, but nothing to prove it here. It's a pretty big claim. So if you're my client, I would work with you to say what actually proves that if you're going to say such a wild statement, and I'd want to have that above the fold. You've also got 2 actions above the fold. So I'd ask you about your customer journey and whether sending them to a case studies page is actually where you want them to go. Then I would open the case studies page and I would see if you have actual call to actions on there, not necessarily to read more. And what I would potentially do, I would split test on your homepage, just sending people to the best case study, because what you're doing is adding friction and adding in decisions. So if you actually just have an awesome case study, just send them to that, instead of sending them to the case studies page. And if case studies are important, I would have it in your navigation as well. I'm not going to do this very logically. I'm just going to see, but this is the thing about websites, is that what you're telling me above the fold, your most important real estate, so before somebody starts to scroll, is that you think case studies are important, but then you don't have them in your navigation. So that tells me there's like a bit of an issue in terms of customer journey planning on your site and how you want to move people through your site. So that's the first thing. What I think we should do is probably click free action plan, and then I can check that out. Let's have a look at your offer. Google Ads clarity is just seconds away. Submit the form below to request your free Google Ads action plan. Let's pause. The headline. It doesn't tell them what they're going to get out of it or the transformation that they're going to achieve. So what I would do if you were my client, I would survey your customers and I would ask them really good questions, and I would find out how, in their words, they form their transformation, and then I would add it into that headline. Here's how to get this, right now it's like a Google Ads action plan. So what am I going to do with that? Who cares? I'm on your site because I want an agency, not because I want a Google Ads action plan. What am I going to do with this? So then how it works is fine, but you don't have any value stacked in around this offer. This is not an irresistible offer. I would call it a resistible offer. So what I would think about is, I told you I was going to be brutal. You asked for this.
Awesome. This is a resistible offer. All right. Good.
Yeah, I'm ending this call. It's so resistible. I'm repelled to leave right now. No, I'm being an asshole. But what you need to do, and for a lot of our clients, it might be dark content. On that call, on this, do you have a call, a free, is it a call? Yeah, we'll contact you right away.
If they're running ads, we get access and we audit their account and then send them the action plan. If they're not running ads, then we hop on and we do here's what could happen potentially.
Cool. And I bet on that call, you guys probably give a lot of value. You probably would tell me stuff, but what's not happening here is you're not necessarily showing me that I'm going to come off better from this call, whether I go ahead or not. There's a lot of friction here on this for me to go ahead, because the thing is with a lot of clients is that they've got the curse of knowledge. They know they're the best. They know what they do on the call. They know what they provide, but I don't. As a person coming here, I don't know what I'm going to get on this call. So what I would do is I would find out via research, what are the target market's top 4 to 5 things when it comes to AdWords. They're probably with a shitty agency that they don't like. They are probably having more competitors and finding it more and more expensive. Insert other things here. And then I would take those problems and I would turn it into bullets to be and on this call, we'll go over blah, 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 talking to their pain points, talking to their goals, showing them the value that they're going to get out of this call, whether they go ahead with us or not. And then the action plan's awesome because that shows that they get something tangible, like a premium to take away. But I would also show a picture of the action plan to make it more tangible, to make it more real. Would you like me to keep going?
Yeah.
Cool. Next, the form. I would want to split test a multi-step form. What can happen is with multi-step is that you can get drop off. So I would split test it, but I would have it all clickable and really easy to do and really engaging way to do it. And yeah, that's the main thing, is just really pumping up. We call it a golden hippo offer after one of our favorite D2C direct response brands, Golden Hippo. But yeah, it's how do you stand out in a sea of noise? And so even though you guys are probably the best AdWords agency in the world, if your offer isn't the best, people don't care. They don't know that until they talk with you. So the purpose of that page is to get the call. The purpose of that page is not to sell you. The purpose of that page is to sell the value of having that call with you.
I feel horrible about myself now. No,
do you want me to keep going? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
fun to watch you work, because I can, it's interesting when you get to see somebody who thinks in specific terms, and you're clearly a master of your craft. You've said a couple of times, you referred to the surveys that you're doing. How are you? Because if I ever try to get customers to do a survey, I get a 1% response rate, and it's my mom. How do you get people, how do you craft the survey? How do you send the survey? How do you get them to respond to the survey?
Yeah, so crafting it, we typically do it on Typeform to get them to do it. Whenever you ask someone to do something, they're thinking, what's in it for me? And it needs to be as easy for them as humanly possible. So a lot of that is in crafting the email that we give to the client to send out. A lot of people want to give their opinion. They want to feel special. They want to feel like you genuinely do care about their opinion, because you do. So it's in the way that you ask, and then you give a little bribe. So an ethical bribe. And that might be something like you go into the draw to win X, whatever, or everybody who does it, depends how valuable it is or how many respondents you might get, gets a $20 or $50 voucher, whatever. Actually, Airwallex for us, because we use Airwallex, if you know them, they're like a bank. Anyway, good bank. So we have been using them, and they actually contacted my partner and were like, hey, we'd love to hear more about your experience. We want to get on a phone with you. We'll give you a $50 voucher to talk to us. And he was like, free money, I'm in. And yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, but it's all about how you position it. Everything's just sales, yeah? You're just always selling something. And it's the same principles and the same psychological principles of sales and storytelling or whatever that goes into every single touch point that you have with somebody.
What questions am I not asking you that I should be? Like, what would a smarter person ask you?
That's a good question. Probably, maybe I can reframe that as like, to that. It's probably just, what do people get wrong, or what are the common misconceptions that people have about funnels? And I can get into that. Number one is that they use CRO. I just call it CRO. I don't know why. Maybe I have a lazy mouth. CRO, and they get that mixed up with like offer creation or something. Like, no, there's traffic. That's what you guys do. There's CRO, conversion rate optimization. Optimization means you're fixing something that's already working, yeah? But then there's this little thing that's already in the middle, which is called like your offer and your positioning and your direct response copy, etc. And nobody focuses on that, and nobody thinks about that. So people are like, okay, I've got my traffic. They like just skip over everything. Like, I've banged together a page, cries in lost revenue, and now I'm going to do CRO. But it's like, what are you testing? Like, you don't understand your target market, you don't understand your message, and you don't understand your offer. And everybody's trying to overcomplicate these things, and they're just the three core pillars: target market, message, offer. Nobody. I've worked with billion-dollar companies. They do not have rich customer avatars where they have the exact words that a target market uses to explain pain points, hopes, dreams, fears. They are using their own internal jargon, and it's detrimental to their marketing. So that's one thing. And then the second is that people just overcomplicate funnels. It's simple. It's just map it out, and they get obsessed with the funnel map. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't add all these crazy things. Always launch minimum viable. Understand that and focus on your offer. All of your focus should go on this offer, because crappy copy can sell an awesome offer. World-class copy cannot sell a weak offer. And so if I was going to leave people on something, it's like, I've never seen a weak offer dominate an industry. So the thing is, it's offer creation. What are you asking somebody to do? How are you giving them value? Nobody sells a product or a service. They just sell entry into a desired after state, yeah? Your prospect, your leads, crappy point A, they want to get to desired point B, and then they're just deciding what vehicle you, direct, indirect competitors, are one of the vehicle choices to get them there. And so a lot of people just don't think about them as a vehicle for transformation. They do like that me marketing, like, we're the best because of this. It's like, no one gives a shit. What's in it for me, and how do you help
exactly
me?
What I've done here.
And anyway, that was the question I asked myself. What do I like to rant about? And those are a few of my favorite things.
Do you have a podcast?
I have a podcast not on marketing. I have a podcast called Unapologetic that I do with my best friend. And we started that during COVID, because Melbourne, #1 lockdown city in the world. Woohoo, here we are. We were devoid of social interactions and conversations. So we were like, imagine if we could get all of these smart women in a room to talk about topics that a lot of women don't have access to. So we do things like how to negotiate a pay raise, how to overcome imposter syndrome. And we just interview all of these women from around the world that share their success stories. But instead of them being like not necessarily at the top and untouchable, they're a couple of steps ahead. So it's more relatable, and they're just everyday people. Yeah. So yes, I do. And the sequel to your answer is all of what I just said.
Yeah, well, no, I was going to say you should have a pod. You're so much fun to listen to. So we'll link to your podcast in the description of the video. How do people work with you?
So if they would like to work with us, we have a website, which is persuasionexperience.com. On that, you can pretty much just book in to have a free strategy session with me. If you too would like my unfiltered thoughts on your website and your landing page and your funnel, I mean, you know what you're going to be getting yourself into now. But come forth and I will absolutely annihilate what you're doing. And that will be with myself or my co-founder, 30 minutes, and we'll go through your persuasion experience. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I post a lot every day on LinkedIn or my YouTube channel. And it's all under my name, Alisha Conlin-Hurd.
Awesome. Last words to you. Golden nugget.
My golden nugget to leave people on is you need to prioritize your business growth and do the things that you probably consider are boring. Get on the phone, talk to your target market, find out how they describe their problems, their hopes, their dreams, their fears. You should understand your target market's problem better than they can themselves. When I talk to a lead, I'll say to them, tell me in one sentence the problem that you solve for your target market. No one can answer it. Go figure that out. Figure out how you can create an offer to get people on the phone with you and start figuring out your persuasion experience on how you can create from not knowing you all the way to understanding who you are and bringing in and being a voluntary marketer. And yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Go make some money. That's what I'll leave people on.
Go make some money. That was Alisha Conlin-Hurd with Persuasion Experience. That was an amazing talk. I really appreciate you. If you're watching this, I shoot a video every day. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Alisha, thank you again.
Thank you.
Listeners and subscribers, peace.
Wait, before you go, I'm constantly looking for amazing people to come join our team. So if you're passionate about Google Ads and you're passionate about customer success, please go to solate.com/apply. And we'd love to see you as a part of the Solutions 8 team. Also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that we actually know what we're doing. And don't forget to subscribe. We shoot a video every single day, and I don't want you to miss out on any of it. Lastly, if you have questions, comments, concerns, confessions, or you just hate my face and my voice, go ahead and hit us up in the comments. We get very little human interaction, and even the heckling is something that I kind of get a kick out of. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribers if you're a subscriber. Don't forget to apply if you're interested in working at Solutions 8. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.